So this guy takes a Bonneville off the lot. The next thing I know is this guy committed a homicide in this car, burn it to the ground. Our company policy is if they walk on the lot or if they park their car anywhere that is not on our lot, that you have to go with them. So this couple, they seemed normal. They were 30-ish, 30, maybe 35. They walked on the lot, gave me some story about they had a truck, but it had gotten totaled, and they were looking for a Dodge truck, and they liked the red Dodge truck. And it was kind of the end of the month, and I was kind of, you don't make sometimes the best decisions when you're under the gun. Sometimes you let things go by that you wouldn't normally. You might not, you miss some things sometimes. So I said, not a problem. I said, so I took a copy of his driver's license and I said, let's just get in the truck. Let's go for a ride. During that course of that test drive, they were talking just amongst themselves. They wanted to talk so I couldn't hear them. And the one guy was he kept saying, Chet's not going to like this, dude. He's just not going to like this. This isn't how this needs to happen. So pretty soon they keep bringing up Chet. So finally I said, excuse me, salesman in the back here. Who's Chet? Oh, Chet, he was my old truck's name. I named my truck Chet. And I said, oh, okay. So are you liking the truck? And then there was just silence. And I'm like, what is going on? So they pull into a convenience store. He was like, we want to go talk about things. And I'm like, okay. So I'm in the back and I'm like, gosh, I said, if I get out and then what if they run? So I just grabbed the keys, shut it off, go back there. And I was like, hey, so are we trying to buy a truck today or what's going on? All of a sudden this woman starts wigging out. She's like, I know you. I know you. I've seen you. I know who you are. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know who you are. I said, are you guys wanting to buy a truck? And they're like, we're done here. And they just took off walking. I don't know if they had intentions on robbing, stealing the truck, what I don't know. It was a very odd interaction with people. To be honest and to be fair, for as long as I'd worked there, I really had minimal of those type deals. I did have one woman that gave me faulty information, hemmed up my whole day. She made her own paycheck stubs. She made her own insurance thing. The amount of time these people go through, if they would just do it to do the right thing, you know what I mean? It would just make so much more sense. But yeah, I didn't sell her a car because we found out everything she gave us was bogus. And then she put an app in a year later, and I'm like, denied. I mean, I'm not going through this again. Are you serious? I have a customer, his name is Junie, and he bought I think it was a 16 white Toyota Tundra from me. And it was on the lot, and we noticed it needed gas. So run over to the Dillon's, the gas station, and he was like, well, you go pay for it, Gail. I'll go ahead and pump it for you. The next thing I look over there, and all I can see is just gas running underneath the vehicle. And Junie's looking at me, and he goes, what's going on? And I'm like, they hadn't attached the filler thing or whatever that thing he's called. And so I'm thinking this guy's just going to say, if you guys can't pay attention to detail on this, why would I even want to entertain purchasing this vehicle? But he went ahead and did buy it. But yeah, that was kind of disheartening. Had a few other instances on, test drives. I had this one guy, we were in a G8 and it was on Kellogg, and he was like, I'm going to open it up. And I was like, it's up to you. I mean, we're going over 100 on Kellogg. And I'm like, I like to go fast, so it was no big deal to me. He goes, I bet you've never been this fast. I'm like, well, actually, I've been over 150, so yeah, we're good. But, I'm from Indiana. I mean, we all drive fast there. That's what my dad always said. My dad was a truck driver. He said, that's why they built those interstates, for driving fast. We had one that I had just started selling cars out here in Kansas, and there was a kid over in used cars that the guy came in and obviously had given him a fictitious license, and the trade-in that he said he was trading was stolen. So this guy takes a Bonneville off the lot. The next thing I know is this guy committed a like homicide in this car, burn it to the ground. And so then everybody was on real like high alert about who we're putting in these cars. You know what I mean? So this guy comes in and I mean, I try not to judge but at some point everybody kind of does because then you're on high alert thinking, is this guy like a serial killer or what's the deal? And he goes, let's go on a test drive. And I'm like, it's just when they say it like that, it's just weird to me. But so we're in this truck, and we're going down, I think it was Webb Road. And he kind of looks over at me and he goes, I'm getting ready to take you to a place you've never been before. And so all he was turning and going around the Dillon's grocery store. He goes, you never been that way, have you? And I was like, oh, no, never been that way. But these things come into your mind and you're like, what exactly are you doing? And then I had another guy. I mean, he clearly was a pimp. I mean, he had his purple velvet hat on, his purple velvet suit on, and he was like, I want to drive that Cadillac over there. And I was like, okay. I was like, can I see driver's license? And I'm watching him. He's literally getting like every CD out of his car. He's in some hoopty. I don't even know what it was. Doesn't matter. But so I go in, I tell my sales manager, and he goes, well, Gail, you need to go with the guy. And I said, so I come out and I tell the guy, and he goes, oh, so it's going to be like that? And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, I have to go with you. He goes, well, guess I'm not listening to my music then. He goes, just forget this. And he just puts it on his car and just drives off. I'm like, would you just want to use the car for a day or whatever, dude? Crazy test drive things. I had another guy, oh my goodness. He comes in and he's sitting down and he goes, is this Joe Self? Is this the Joe Self dealership? And I said, yes. And he goes, okay. He goes, because the last time I thought I was at Joe Self and I bought a car, but it wasn't Joe Self. It was Davis Moore and it was supposed to be Joe Self. So he goes, I'm here today and I'm going to buy a car because it's Joe Self. And I said, good. And he goes, I need something comfortable. I said, well, and he has a trade in. He had an Impala to trade in. Paid off. Oh, we just knocked the socks off of this guy. I mean, we gave him literally X amount of dollars for this, and it was a nice Impala. And he falls in love with this Cavalier, and I'm like, how are the seats more comfortable in a Cavalier than they are in an Impala? But he just fell in love with it. I mean, he was like 80 some years old. You know what I mean? And I think this was going to be like his last hurrah or whatever. It was black. It had some wheels on it. And he goes, I want you to meet my wife. He goes, she hasn't driven in 40 years. She's been bedridden or what. I'm thinking, what is going on here? I'm like, okay. And I said, so, but we're going to the bank to get the money, right? And he goes like, yeah. He goes, I just want you to meet her. So I'm sitting there and, pretty soon here she comes with her little walker and I introduce myself and she was like, well, if he likes this car, I guess that's the one he's going to get. So then we go to like the interest and we get the money, pay for it. I'll never forget this guy because he was sitting in my office and it always rings in my head when he said, Gail, he goes, this country's it's just in a sad state of affairs. And I said, yes, it truly is. And I'm thinking, God, Gail, you just knocked his head off with this Impala deal. And yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. But anyway, but he loved the car. And then the crazy thing was my birthday was November 26th. He passed away on November 26th. It was only like 2 or 3 months. He bought that car and then passed away. It was almost like he just knew. And then I had another really good customer named Corky, Clayton Purcell. He actually is an author. He's got some books on Amazon. He's since passed away. He was a Purple Heart Vietnam veteran. And I meet him on the lot, and he's like, I just got out of rehab. And I'm thinking, on Broadway, you don't know what kind of rehab people are. So he was like, no, he goes, I had a stroke. And he goes, my family just left me. He goes, I don't even know. They haven't talked to me since. He goes, but I got some money. And he goes, I want to buy that red Mustang. And I was like, okay, we can do that. This guy bought 5 cars from me in a 3-year window. I mean, he was just always, Gail, I like that one. And then he was a big Georgia Tech fan. So he bought a white Buick Regal from me and put the big turkey, I can't remember what the emblem is, but it's like a bird, some kind of a bird. He had that painted on there. And I bet my owner was thinking, oh my Lord Jesus, nobody's ever going to buy this car if it comes back. But it did, it sold. Luckily, I've never been into a crash. There was a BMW and the kids were young. They were probably 20-ish, 22. And I asked the kid, I said, you can drive a stick, right? Oh yeah, I've driven many times. And I said, okay. And so yeah, I'm cringing. He's killed it on Kellogg, and Kellogg is a very busy area, and he's killed it like 3 times, and I'm like, "Wow, dude, this is." And I told him, I said, "I thought you." He goes, "Well, it's just a little bit different." And I'm thinking, "Okay, well, after the 3rd time, you'd think you'd get this kind of panned out." But yeah, I was so happy to get back on that lot, and I was like, "Never again, dude. I'm gonna watch you drive it around my lot first, and then we're gonna go see what's going on." So I got one lady. She did get mad at me on a test drive. We were in a Mercedes. It was an SUV. It's a busy intersection. So I just looked in the mirror and I said, "It's clear on this side." She goes, "Ma'am, I clearly know how to drive. I don't need your instruction." And I was like, "I am very sorry." I said, "I wasn't trying to offend you. I was just like, it's very busy. And when I come through here, I kind of cringe." And I'm thinking, well, first of all, that isn't my car and this isn't your car. So we need to be, kind of like, but whatever. Yeah, I've had some people get kind of, crazy like that. And then I remember one kid, we ran out of gas. We ran out of gas at an intersection. We're pushing it over. He goes, "Why can't we just leave it here?" And I said, "Well, because other people have to get through the light." So we're pushing this through. And, I remember my owner, we went and picked up this F-250. Anytime he got in a vehicle, he always had to, I don't know if you call it showing off, but always had to make a big deal out of it. So we're we're rolling and he was like, "Watch this." And he just kicks it and all of a sudden it just goes. And I looked at him and I'm like, "Did you just blow the engine?" And he was like, "I don't know what I did." And so we pull off and it was like the turbo thing, whatever. And so we come back and he's still nervous. You can tell he's nervous because he thinks he messed up something else. So I bend down, I look under the truck, and I'm like, "Oh my God." He goes, "What?" And I was like, "Nothing. I was just saying, oh my God." Then he lied one time. He'd always be getting me into things. So he lied to my customer. So I guess in Kansas, when you sell, because we had boats, we sold everything. They couldn't get these people produce the title, so they couldn't use their boat. So this went on for like a year. Back then, I got paid on cash down payment. So if you did put $2,000 down, I got paid $400. The customer calls in because Nelson tells him he can't give them the $2,000 because he paid it all to me. So he put it back on me. So my customer calls me, and I'm not knowing all of this is going on, okay? So my customer calls me, and we were pretty good friends. I mean, they'd bought about 8 cars, and he was like, "Gail," he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Of course." And he was like, "What did you make on my boat deal?" And I said, "Well, you put 2,000 down." I said, I get $400. He goes, "Well, that's not what your owner said." And I said, "Well, I don't care. That's what I get paid." "What did he say?" He said, "You got paid the full $2,000. That's why he can't give us our $2,000 back." So pretty soon I'm just waiting for it. I'm sitting at my desk. Here he comes. He goes, "Come out here. You can't tell people what you make." And I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "I am a commission only person." I said, "If I want to stand on a mountain with a megaphone and yell out what I get made on a car deal, I'm going to do it." And I said, "If you hadn't lied from jump," I said, "this wouldn't even be an issue." We almost came to blows that day. Me and the owner out in front of the dealership. Pretty crazy.
We'd like to thank this month's sponsor of the VINwiki YouTube channel, Minta Watches. We know the world of great cars and great watches tends to overlap a lot, and Minta specializes in remarkable timepieces, both vintage and modern, because they know that great watches also have great stories. So if you're looking for some entertaining and educational watch content, be sure to check out Adam's YouTube channel. And if you're in the market for a watch or you just want to learn more about watches, be sure to reach them at the link in the description below. They'll take great care of you.